Hi guys, my name is Zuri and I have lost 50 pounds with the help of Mounjaro, the weight loss shot. In this video, I'm going to talk about some sneaky, crazy side effects that I encountered and discuss some of the things I felt like I'd done wrong in the process and provide some tips so that if you are going through the process and possibly my age or 35 or older, you can maybe not do the things that I did that impacted my weight loss. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. If you're returning, thank you so much for the love. I certainly appreciate it. If you find any of this information entertaining or you find value in the videos that I make, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, help me grow this community. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's get into it. And I have some notes because I definitely have come into some crazy side effects. And I don't know if you guys have encountered this stuff, but let's get into it. So the first side effect I want to talk about is fatigue. I was really tired when I first started, and that was because I wasn't really feeding myself. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about when I say the things that I did wrong. So I did focus on protein, but with one of the things about this shot is that it takes away your appetite in most cases. For me, I still had an appetite. I could still eat, but I just didn't want to. I didn't feel like chewing my food. So it was a matter of, I don't want to get up and make anything. I don't want to do anything. So I could get busy and get distracted and go hours without eating. And that in turn, I didn't fuel my body enough. And so because of that, I unfortunately had fatigue. And I think a lot of people talk about the Mounjaro fatigue. And the reason for that is I just wasn't getting enough calories. Like I made the mistake of not getting enough calories and I paid for it. The next thing that I encountered was constipation. And oh my goodness. So before I even started this process, I was constipated anyway. So I've been constipated my whole life. So one of the things I found out years ago was that there's some muscle that's supposed to move the stool through, and mine doesn't work, or I don't have it. I don't know. So constipation is something I've always had it. Never was a problem. But once I got on this shot, it just took it to the next level. Like I'm talking about concrete, not moving. One of the side effects is constipation or nausea, and also an extreme side effect of this drug is actually stomach paralysis. So I haven't necessarily encountered that, but how the drug works is that it slows down the stuff moving through your colon. So because of that, you're full longer and you don't eat as much, and in turn you lose weight. But for someone like me who experiences constipation already on a regular basis, that made me miserable. So I did a video on my channel. You can go back with, I think it's 10 different things that you can do in order to combat constipation. I've tried them all. Some work better than others. Ultimately, what I did was in going to the doctor after a couple of, I don't want to make this big, long, elaborate video about constipation, but going to my doctor, we settled on using Miralax. And I would use it every other day or every day, depending on where I was. Occasionally, I would slide in some of those other tools to give myself some more fiber and stuff like that. You will see a lot of people talking about, you got to have fiber, you got to have fiber. Now, if you're using fiber pills or gummies, keep in mind, if you're already constipated and you're adding that fiber on top of it, if it's not the right type of fiber, you're going to be messed up. So you want to get non-bulking fiber. Otherwise, you're going to be compacted. And Miralax is not fiber. It's a laxative that draws water into your colon and it helps the stool move through. So my recommendation would be fruits, vegetables. Take some Benefiber. I think that's soluble fiber. And then there's another orange one now. I can't even think of the name of it. You can take those. But again, watch the video because I've got a lot of tips in there about things that help you get your bowels moving. On to the next. So I was dehydrated and malnutrition. That kind of goes back to the fatigue. So I thought that I was drinking enough water, and I thought that I was eating enough food because I was in a calorie deficit, and I made sure that I had at least 4 bottled waters a day. So I thought that that was enough, because you hear a lot of things that they say if you're hydrated, if your urine is clear. So my urine was clear. I figured I'm having enough. I've got it in the morning, going up into the afternoon. I would do 4 bottles of water. Sometimes I would do more than that, but at least 4, because the bottle, they're 16 ounces each, and it's according to your weight. So I thought that I was doing enough, but I absolutely wasn't. So even though I was having protein, all of this stuff, it wasn't enough. So I ended up being dehydrated and malnutritious, which kicked me into metabolic adaptation. Not good. What that means is that my body was so used to starving all the time, it stopped losing weight. It started thinking that I was starving, which I probably was. And so it was just holding on to the weight that I had. And so I encountered that on several different occasions and ended up having a stall many, many times, because my body was like, no, you're not even eating enough. So why would we burn off this fat? That's my dog, Peanut. Why would we burn off this fat when you're barely eating enough? So that was really, really difficult for me. That was a side effect that I encountered, and a lot of people encounter that. If you're doing gung-ho and you think you're doing everything right in a calorie deficit, protein, got water, blah, 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 it may not be enough. Something that I didn't think about when I started my journey, because I did all this aerobic, high-intensity workouts, depending on your age and when you're starting, you need to work out differently. I wasn't aware of that. So in my past life, I would do aerobics, cut out carbs. I'd be thin, looking like, bathing suit ready in a month. But because I'm over 50, I did the wrong kind of exercise. Yes, I lost weight. Absolutely. The high intensity workouts, they worked for me. I lost weight. The pounds came off, 50 pounds. Kudos to me, pat me on my back. Great job. But unfortunately, I lost fat, but I also lost muscle. So I ended up with muscle wasting because I didn't have enough protein, even though I was focusing on protein. I didn't have enough protein, and I only did aerobics. So I had some light weights, and I would use those sometimes, but I didn't focus on building muscle at all. I went back to what I knew worked for me in my 30s and my early 40s, but at 50, that didn't work. So my tip for you, if in fact you are on Mounjaro and you're only doing aerobics, you're only doing walking, you need to do some resistance training and some strength training, because you're going to end up with some chicken wings and you're going to end up with some toothpick legs like your girl. So now I'm on a journey to build muscle back up. In addition to losing muscle, I lost my little butt that I had. Again, my butt is flat like a pancake, flat like this sheet of paper. Like, I lost my butt. So now I'm in the process of trying to build it back up. I never did, I didn't have a Kim Kardashian, but I had a little bit of meat on there. Now it's just like, But for the last, 2 weeks, I've started the process of building muscle. So I know this, when I sit down, I'm just not sitting on hard no more. I got a little bit there, and I'm seeing some muscle definition in my arms, and my legs are getting a little bit bigger. So focus on muscle, building muscle, strength training at least 3 times a week. Get some heavier weights, smaller reps, none of those, 10, 20, 30. Nope. Burn yourself out, what they call with 2 in reserve. So if you're going to do some heavier 10, 15, 20 pound weights, you want to be able to lift those weights up. And when you get to 4, if you can't do it anymore, and then you could kill yourself to get to 2, then you've done it right. So one of the things that happened to me, I've been in the process of menopause for the last year, but this last 2 months, my hormones just disappeared. And because of that, I was dizzy and hypoglycemic. There's one of my videos, my 4-month update, where I was on 10 and I was so dizzy and miserable. I couldn't even function. So I didn't realize that my hormones had disappeared. So I thought it was the Mounjaro shot was too strong. So I went to my endocrinologist. We talked about it. And then, we decided to go back down. So I'm on 7.5. But in doing my annual physical, I found out that I was in menopause and that my hormones just disappeared. So they have been gradually sneaking away, but my estrogen just dropped And when it did, it made me super dizzy. I got night sweats, just miserable. And even though I was struggling with sleep all this time, because they say you're in premenopause for about a year or so. So I've been there, been done that, right? And I've had issues with my sleep. But when my hormones just dropped off, it was even worse. So dizziness, a little bit of nausea, now that I know that that's the case, I'm able to manage it better, but it just popped up, and that's some of the side effects that I encountered. All right, y'all. I know you heard of this, but I end up getting Ozempic face. So my face is looking a lot better now, but my face started drooping. I lost all of the fat in my face, and I got these horrible lines that were right here, just droopy face. My face would just look like a skeleton, like some skin on top of a skeleton. I don't know if a lot of people have encountered it, because I guess I lost the weight so fast. I got Ozempic face, and yeah, kind of horrible. Bunch of wrinkles on my forehead. I mean, my face was just it looked like it was just hanging down. So what I do now, I've got some vitamin E oil. So I looked at some places where I could do face yoga, and so I've got a little bit more meat right here, a little bit more muscle. I've got this oil that I wash my face with, and I do these exercises where I pull my face back up. I pull this back up here. I run it down, and then I had a bunch of chicken neck. Oh, my neck was so nasty, like it was just hanging there looking gross. So now I do this exercise where I pull my hands down like this and kind of do that. I do this every morning, every night. So it's helped. I mean, my neck was just looking disgusting. All right. So again, because I'm in menopause, I got hot flashes. So now I wake up 5 to 6 times a night. Just depending on your age, sometimes I can start as early as 35, but I am 54 next month. So again, it was creeping up, but when my hormones just disappeared, I'm so miserable. I barely got any sleep as it was, and I'm a light sleeper, so that's miserable. So now I really focus on trying to get at least 6 hours of sleep. I'm trying my best to squeeze it in. I got dark circles under my eyes and bags because I wasn't eating enough, because I lost the weight so quickly. My face just kind of stretched out and fell. I had these big black circles around my eyes, and then my eyes are super puffy. Just horrible. So 2 years ago, I ended up having 2 detached retinas in the same eye. I had surgery twice. My eyes are so bad, I can't wear the kind of glasses where you get them, I forgot what it's called, but the lens is blended and you don't have to have lines in them, and that you could just see far and distance and all that. My eyes are so bad, I can't see like that. If I want to see close up, I've got to have a second lens. So you can see in my second lens, you look at my eyes and they look kind of crazy because it makes my eye look bigger because of the lens. However, even outside of that lens, I had big puffy bags under my eyes. Face was hanging down, circles under my eye. And in fact, at one time, I had 2 bags under one eye. Just all of this because I wasn't eating enough. And I thought I was eating enough, but I wasn't. All right. Now, how did I combat those side effects? Do me a favor. Let me know in the comment. Have you guys experienced any of those side effects? And if you did, what did you do to overcome them? All right. So let me tell you what I did. So case in point, I really thought that I was doing everything right. I was focusing on my hydration. I was focusing on my protein. I kept myself moving, and I focused on my sleep. Those are the things that you need to do. That is the formula in order to lose weight. However, depending on your age, you have to add a little bit more to it or do something different. And for me, being over 50, I needed to do those things. But because I wasn't really tracking everything at first, I wasn't really doing it. So I thought I was eating enough protein, but I wasn't really checking my protein. I thought I was on 1,500 calories, but I wasn't checking my calories. I thought I was staying hydrated enough, but I really was only drinking 4 things of water and I wasn't tracking it. So the very first thing that I did wrong was I was not tracking what I was eating. I was not tracking what I was drinking. Very first thing. Second thing I did wrong was I was relying on processed proteins. Because I wasn't hungry, right? Because I wasn't eating a lot, I felt that I could just get those protein shakes, those bars, or those treats, and that they would cover up me not eating anything. And that wasn't good for me because I'm over 50. I'm in menopause. I actually need whole foods. So I was not eating a lot of whole foods because I wasn't eating enough calories. So I would eat, and the meal wasn't really big. I would eat breakfast, right? With eggs, sausage, whatever. And then if I did have a dinner, it would be some vegetables and it would be some meat. But even with that, it wasn't a lot of food. And because I wasn't hungry a lot, of course, I substituted with the protein. And let me preface this by saying, if you cannot eat, then by all means, I still would recommend a protein shake, protein bar, a protein something. Absolutely. It's better than nothing. But the problem for me is I was too heavily reliant on those processed foods. I had protein bars, protein shakes. I did eat yogurt and stuff like that. But if it was any time where I wasn't really hungry and I wanted to get some food in, it was a processed protein something. And for me, that wasn't good. So that is one of the things that I did wrong that I have since changed. And I would recommend for anyone else starting this journey. Yes, you need protein. Yes, you can substitute it if you have no other choice. But if you can, try chicken breast, try nuts, try beans, try eggs, try whatever, opposed to just the protein shakes and bars and treats. So my workouts. Kudos to me for working out 5 and 6 days a week, sometimes 7 times a week. But the problem with that is because I was in menopause, I needed to start building muscle. So I know a lot of people, go on the diet, they do the aerobics, they do the walks, and then they end up saying, I've got these turkey arms, or my legs are so small, or this and that, because they do like I did, and they don't focus on muscle. So I regret that, and that's something I did that was wrong. So going forward, I'm focusing on building lean muscle. I'm doing resistance training. I've added weights. I'm trying to transpose my body, into a more healthier version, and I'm doing weights now. So 3 times a week, weights. Heavier weights. I'm still walking. I'm still doing some aerobics, but because I'm in menopause, I'm not doing high intensity aerobic workouts all the time every week, just dragging, my face down and giving me bat wings and flabby arms and legs. I'm adding in muscle, and I recommend you do the same. Now, if you are younger, then aerobics are great. They're not going to negatively impact you, but really for health wise, you want to, on this shot, I recommend weights, some kind of weights. If you need to get a trainer, get one. But YouTube has a wealth of information and things that you can do. Add weights, strength training, resistance training into your weekly regimen. So another thing that I do now is I set reminders for my food. I have a reminder for every hour to make sure that I drink some water. Sometimes I buy the little tiny bottled waters. I like the 16 ounce. But sometimes I have the ounce of water, I just get tired of drinking it. So to trick myself, I get the little bottles, set a reminder for every hour throughout the day while I'm at work. And then I can just drink that, and I can go up that down. That way I'm getting a lot more water in, and I'm recording my water. So now that I'm going beyond the 64 ounces, and I'm able to see it now that I track it, so that if it didn't get there, I know to go in and drink some more. Same thing with my food and my calories. If I find that I have not gotten in that 1,500 calorie, if I have to plug my nose and swallow an egg, I'll do that. I'm focusing on whole foods, making sure that I get the water that I need, making sure that I get the protein that I need, and I'm trying my best to get it from food sources. I'm substituting still the protein shakes, but more so I'm eating whole foods, which is something that I wasn't doing in those first 4 months on Mounjaro. All right. So those are the side effects that I encountered. I mentioned, about my face. I kind of did that in the first and kind of said the things that you were doing. If you haven't encountered any of these side effects and have some awesome tips to share with the community, do me a favor and share it down in the show notes as well. Tell us what you did. How were you able to overcome it? I love hearing from you. Again, if you find value in anything that I said today, do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow the community. And Thanks for being here. I certainly appreciate you. Bye.